Hello everyone. Now, before I move on to this extremely good looking ship, I'd like to highlight the fact that I have in fact hit 50k YouTube subs. Well, it happened a while ago, but I've been wanting to do a giveaway for a while, but it's kind of been delayed because of my throat issues, and in general, my health hasn't been the best. However, now that we're starting to get back into proper condition, I want to highlight that on this upcoming Monday, I will be hosting a huge giveaway in honor of having 50k subs. I will be giving away a permanent space camo to your ship of choice. So if you win this raffle, you can decide between any of the 8,000 doubloon camos and pick one, and you will be the happy winner of that permanent space camo. I will also be giving away 2 USS Kids, aka the Tier 8 DD Premium Destroyer. I will be giving away an Atlanta, I will be giving away a Roma, I will be giving away 40 packs of those sci-fi camos. Each pack has 5 of them, so that's like, what, 200 camos. I will be giving away all that, the matchmaking Tier 10 as expected. I will be giving away all that, and it doesn't matter which region you're from. It doesn't matter if you're EU, NA, Russia, C, it doesn't matter which region you're from. If you win, you'll still get the prize. This is available to all regions, and so that should make this a lot more enjoyable for any winners. However, the last time I hosted this giveaway, I did it on my Twitch, and that made it so damn messy and so damn awkward. So this time, while I will be doing the giveaway while I'm streaming, the actual giveaway part will be done on my Discord. Now, what is Discord? Discord is like, if you combine Skype, TeamSpeak, MSN, whatever other communication programs you might want to do. If you combine all of those, then you kind of get Discord. And I will be hosting my giveaway there. My Discord is probably the largest World of Warships focused Discord. It has something like almost 6,000 members. We got a lot of stuff going on there, like people who want to talk about games like World of Warships, World of Tanks, World of Planes. We have channels for all of that stuff, and we got looking for group channels. We got people advertising their clans. So I figured this was a good chance to also promote my own Discord, while at the same time making life a lot easier for my admins, because the last time I did a giveaway, it was a bit messy. Anyway, I'll give you guys a link to the program, or a link to the invite to my channel below. I'll put one in the comment as well. The good thing with the program is, if you don't want to download the app itself, you can actually connect straight through your browser. So if you don't want to install the app at all, you can just connect through your browser and get access to it that way. So it should be pretty damn easy, and taking part in the giveaway is extremely simple and will be explained in Discord itself. Now, the actual ship itself, the Buffalo. Well, the first thing you might notice, Hindenburg gave me a flat, juicy broadside, and he was punished quite heavily. And the broadside, as you can see, is certainly no joke. 12 guns. Much heavier broadside than, well, pretty much any American cruiser in the game right now. This is, of course, the upcoming Buffalo, the Tier 9 replacement of the Baltimore. Now, the Buffalo doesn't get these 12 guns for free. While they are otherwise identical to the Baltimore guns in terms of shell velocity and, of course, the amazing American AP penetration, you have to pay for it in reload. So even with the reload mod, the reload is significantly slower at 11.4 seconds compared to Baltimore's 8.8. So heavier broadside, but slower reload in return, which is a pretty acceptable trade. Now, you might notice the huge AP pens that I took even though I was angled, and that's because the ship has the very same armor that the Baltimore has, which means 27mm armor all over the place. And this of course means that you can only really reliably bounce 380mm guns. Anything larger will just overmatch. So at Tier 9, of course, just like with the Baltimore, it's one big overmatch fiesta, with your armor basically being paper. On the other hand, though, you do have more HP than the Baltimore, significantly so. Baltimore sits at 42.7, you sit at 47.8. So that's of course quite significant. I did use my radar there earlier, as you might have noticed. It's of course the identical American Tier 9 radar, which means it has a 49-second duration if you run the module, which is of course very strong. A 9.45 km range, which is also very strong. Now, the Buffalo, in my opinion, is probably one of the best balanced like early releases I've seen from wargaming in a long time. It's different enough from the Baltimore and the Des Moines to feel different in terms of playstyle, but I never considered it overpowered because, well, it's so very limited on multiple things. It doesn't have the armor to go toe-to-toe with any sort of battleship or in the open. Also, of course, the range is pitiful, 15.6 km range. On the other hand, just like with the Baltimore, you can work around this limited range because your concealment is very good. 10.1 kilometers with full stealth build. So you have very competitive concealment and you have a huge terrifying broadside. The AA is also incredibly powerful, just like with the Baltimore or high-tier American cruisers. In general, your AA is monstrously strong, and you can reach 7.2 km AA radius if you so choose. So the ship is, I would say, well, a modified. Modified Baltimore is in a way correct, but it plays differently because you don't want to sit with the nose in the same way you want to do in the Baltimore, because, well, if you sit nose in with your Baltimore, you're only giving up a third of your DPM. If you sit nose in with Buffalo, you're giving up half your damage. So obviously you want to make more use of those back turrets in general. But the ship is fun, and I've been playing it a lot, and I've really been enjoying the play style that this Buffalo offers. Now, it does sometimes have its weaknesses, especially when you get citadeled, even though you're angled, simply because your armor gets overmatched. But if you work around those things, as you have to do in American cruises in general, it is a pretty damn enjoyable ride. The big downside of this ship, though, the big balancing factor, I would say, is it handles like garbage. It absolutely handles like garbage. It has 33 knots of speed, which is perfectly fine, but it has a 9-second rudder shift. That's with running the rudder shift module, and it has an 800-meter turning circle. In comparison, the Baltimore sits at 6.3 seconds and 730-meter running the module. So obviously you realize that's a pretty damn big difference. Like, you have a 50% worse rudder shift, and your turning circle is larger as well. So handling is a big issue in this ship. Handling is absolutely a huge issue. The firing angles are great, which kind of help alleviate this handling problem, but it cannot be overstated just how badly this ship handles, and it is quite jarring when you're used to the Baltimore type that is a very well handling cruiser, and switching from the Baltimore to the Buffalo does kind of put you off, because it takes some getting used to, and I've been playing this ship a lot until I felt very comfortable in it. Now, gameplay wise, you might have noticed that unlike the usual Baltimore gameplay where you park next to an island and don't really move, I've been trying to stay on the move pretty much the entire game. And that's of course because, well, as I mentioned earlier, you want to bring those back turrets to bear as often as possible. The Cyclone is kicking in, so I'm going to try sneaking a bit closer to sea, especially of course since my radar is available, which means I have a pretty significant advantage in choosing whom to engage and of course being able to shoot them without them even seeing me. The problem is naturally they have some counter radars in the form of the Missouri and Chapayev, so we'll have to see how this actually works out. I do, however, want to push aggressively because, well, I still have 39k health, I still have all my heals. However, as I mentioned, it is a squishy ship, so battleships is something I have to be quite careful of. Regardless though, I push straight into the cap and I pop my radar to see if we can get some sort of information here. The counter radar, as expected, pops up, and there's a Chapayev. Now this kind of angling might be an issue for the other ships, but the American cruisers, that kind of angling is suicide. And the punishment you're able to deal with these guns is just so very terrifying. And the Chapayev eats a huge chunk of damage, and well, he does manage to angle, but even when angled, because I'm aiming so high on his superstructure, I'm still getting these huge penetrations. And he can only really use his front guns since I'm using AP, and that's probably messing with him quite hard, because, well, this is not a situation he wants to be in. I maintain my angle towards the Hindenburg. That's probably torping me. I throw a few AP shells his way to dissuade him from doing anything too aggressive, and it looks like he's kind of starting to bail at this point. The Chapayev does go down. I'm expecting torpedoes from, well, both the Chapayev and the Hindenburg at this time, so I am continually reversing and disengaging. And, well, he might angle, but my AP still does massive damage. Oh, and this means that the Fletcher has moved up, and the Fletcher is hiding in that smoke over there. The problem is he parked right next to a landmark, something I often say you shouldn't do. So I'm able to use the landmark to pinpoint his exact position, and I'm able to land 6 shells on him. And 203mm HE, 6 shells is a lot of hits. I predict he'll reverse in the smoke, as you noticed, and I managed to land another hit on him as well. I shoot one last predictive volley into the smoke, and with the Chapayev dead, the Hindenburg dead, and this Fletcher heavily crippled, I decide to start pushing in towards the cap. I expect the Yamato to pop up on my left based on the minimap, so I switch to AP and I have my guns pointed his way already. The Minotaur appears to be shooting him as well, so we'll see if I'm able to actually punish this guy. Yamato pops up. Sadly, he's already angling away, so I'm not able to get that huge AP volley. You can easily do over 10k AP damage to battleships with this AP. I do 6k. Minotaur pops up. I shoot where he's about to sail between the islands, and I manage to lob the shells right between the islands and catch him right in the citadel. Unfortunately, he detonates before I have time to land multiple citadels. I mean, I do devastate him, but I wanted to see just how many citadels I could have landed on him there, because that was pretty much the perfect aim, and I only landed 3 shells and all of them were citadels. I switched to HE, because I know the Fletcher is here, and I use my radar to spot him hiding in the smoke. Pushing this aggressively against Buffalo, Baltimore, whatever, is of course not a good idea, and he instantly gets killed. I'm expecting torpedoes from him naturally, so I'm already turning hard left towards him. If you see a DD that close, you gotta expect torpedoes to be on your way, and my prediction turns out to be true. And even with the sluggish handling of the ship, as I mentioned, a pretty big downside, I'm able to dodge all his incoming torpedoes quite easily. Trying to see if I could get some good AP hits on this Yamato who's kiting away. Once again, the AP on this ship, well, it's American AP, which is monstrously powerful. I do land a nice 7.6k chunk on him. Sadly, 7 overpens, which is of course unfortunate, but it does give you an idea of just how much damage you can do when you're not getting overpens and you're shooting battleships. I think I've hit something like 13-14k AP volleys on battleships when I get enough penetrations. Still though, at this point the game is pretty much over. Sorry about that. This is my tea. The game is pretty much over at this point. The Missouri, well, he's trying to push in, trying to make some sort of desperation move, but with 900-ish points and 2 caps in our favor, there's not really too much he can do. I think those torps are gonna kill him as well. If they don't kill him, well, then I will get one last chance of blapping him with some AP. Maybe. He does kill the torpedoes, but I think he's gonna die before I actually get a chance to do anything. And he does in fact go down, and we're at 980 points. And no matter how quickly I try to cover the distance, there is no way I'm gonna have a chance to do anything more in this game before it does end. Still though, I would say it was not just a pretty good game, but a fun game. And that's something I've noticed a lot with the Buffalo. I think I tend to enjoy the games quite a lot while playing this ship. It is a good example of a upcoming balanced ship. It's very strong in situations that favor it, but it's also very weak in situations that doesn't. Like being caught in the open in the ship against the battleship is such a nightmare, because not only do you have the squishy Baltimore armor, but you're also clumsier, you're larger, and your citadel is larger. So you are very vulnerable to battleships, so very vulnerable. So you really need to pick and choose your fights and not just take them whenever you see them, because you will not have too much success in the ship. And it does have a learning curve in that sense. You can't just copy your Baltimore gameplay and expect to be as successful, because unlike the Baltimore, you lack stealth, citadel size, and of course the firepower of being nose in. Team score wise, 2.2k, which is pretty okay. It was a tier 10 matchmaking, tier 10 game with all my tier 10s pretty much at the bottom. That's of course not very enjoyable. Detailed report wise, mostly AP damage this game. It doesn't always go that way, but I often mention how much I love American AP, and I tend to use it whenever possible. Potential damage, 2 million. That is actually not bad for a cruiser at all, considering I only really ate 39k or 40k damage. I was able to dodge most of it, especially in the forms of torpedoes, so the actual raw damage that I ate was very minimal. Ultimately though, this is a fun ship. I think it's a really well balanced ship, and I think it's a really fun ship to play, and it offers something different until you get up to the Des Moines, where you kind of sit hugging islands all day. It does offer a different type of play style. Anyway, let me show you guys my recommended build for this ship. Right, as usual, I will start with the modules. Now, both the range and the hull upgrade are incredibly important, but I would say get the hull upgrade first, simply because the default hull upgrade has a pretty terrifying 12.5 second rudder shift, which honestly makes it feel more like a battleship than anything else, and you can work around short range thanks to your excellent stealth. So hull first, range upgrade next. Consumable wise, radar, of course, not spotter plane, not fighter plane. That's for the silly people that don't know what they're doing. Premium repair if you can afford it, premium damage con if you can afford it. Upgrade wise, priority number one is of course main armaments mod, followed by radar duration. If you can't afford radar duration, probably damage control, because you don't lose engine or rudder that often. AA range, because the aiming systems mod is such a small bonus and your AA is excellent. Faster rudder shift, absolute must have. Your rudder shift is terrible. Better concealment, and finally I prefer the reload mod. I've been testing both range and reload, and ultimately, much like with the Baltimore, I far prefer the reload, because you can make your stealth work to get close enough to make use of it, and the ship really needs the additional DPM that comes from using the reload module. Captain perks wise, this is technically my Des Moines captain, aka former Steven Seagal, now John Doe. Priority number one, priority target, followed by adrenaline rush, followed by superintendent, additional heal, followed by concealment and AFT for that AA range. This of course works great on the Des Moines as well, since this is, well, my Des Moines captain. After that, I prefer to run additional fire chance, since you end up spamming HE a lot if they're angled, even though your AP is excellent. And preventive maintenance, and of course expert reloader, which is especially good if you're running John Doe, aka Steven Seagal. Now, for the Buffalo particularly, I could see giving up Demolition Expert and instead getting Expert Marksman, because the turret traverse is pretty slow on this ship, so Expert Marksman might be quite useful. Ultimately though, I do quite like this build, and even though Demolition Expert isn't that valuable, it does add a nice chunk of damage on top. So I would say this is my recommended build, but I will also straight up say that if you feel like this turret traverse of 34.5 feels too sluggish, then giving it up and getting Expert Marksman is not a bad choice either. Flag wise, basic cruiser flags with the addition of course of healing, since you can run healing, but fire chance, faster consumables, AA if you want to. It does have great AA, so buffing it even further is not a bad idea. Other than that, economy flags, or AK, well, all of these are pretty much economy flags. Anyway, that was my Buffalo commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I will see you guys on Monday for the massive giveaway in honor of actually reaching 50k subs, which I'm very happy about. Anyway, that was all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed it.